Hello friendos and randos, welcome back to another video. If you haven't seen the news yet, the winner for the Bandai Card Fest Nationals in America was Cross AI with Black Yellow Luffy in big OP09. And if you have not been watching my channel up till now, you can check out my recent OP09 Black Yellow Luffy video where I went X1 at the flagship EX, ending 9th place with Black Yellow Luffy as well. So I'm going to cover all different Black Yellow Luffy tech cards that you can run in the deck, and all different tech cards that have been run up till now in this deck since OP06, and why you should run these tech cards and what would be a recommended list for OP09 now. Of course, if you haven't watched my video previously, go and watch it. It will explain the bread and butter of the deck already, and you can see it over here. This is the list that I ran. Most BY Luffy lists will look pretty similar to this, with a few different exceptions. Now, I'm going to show you the bread and butter parts of this deck and which cards are probably never being cut, and which are the tech slots and what you can tech into these slots. So, without any further ado, let's go. First off, the bread and butter are these cards on screen right now. 5 cost ST Luffy, 5 cost Egghead Luffy, 5 cost Sabo Blocker, 8 cost Moria, the Baby Luffy, the Baby Sabo, Garp Searcher, Hiyori, Flampe, and the Searcher event. These are almost non-negotiable, with the exception of maybe the Searcher event. However, I would recommend at least running 2 copies of the Searcher event just to increase the consistency. The rest of this deck is going to be flex slots. So you can see that we have about 10 slots only to play around with, and these are the cards that have been used up till now in these 10 slots. So first and foremost, let me talk about the ones that I'm using in this specific list. Firstly, 4 cost Kuzan. 4 cost Kuzan is really good in general. If you don't know what it does, on play you draw a card, and when attacking you can give a character -4 cost until the end of your turn. This is really good in combination with cards like your Egghead Luffy. What this does is allows you to, for one, on play, refill your hand size, which keeps your hand big, which is really important as BY Luffy. Because what people will tend to do into you is try to poke your hand size down to hit you for multiple wide 9k swings. But Kuzan lets you refill your hand. Not only that, it helps you get rid of 8 cost characters with your Egghead Luffy. So this means their 8 cost, usually 9k body, is going to be removed, and it will save you hand cards later. Not only that, if they do swing into the Kuzan, you will be able to save hand cards using that as well. So Kuzan, really good value card as a tech card. Next tech card are of course the 2 cost and 5 cost Podgas the Ace from the starter deck. These are additional transform henshin targets from your Moria as well as from your life. Ace is really good as a rush character as well. I do like running Ace in OP09 because of the fact that you do want to have even more ways to hit 7k base or 9k base earlier, and having that additional baby is very useful, especially in a Blackbeard matchup where you won't be able to use your 8 cost Moria to take your babies from trash. So I enjoy having that additional baby character. Other than that, it's really good in matchups like Nami and Shanks where you do want to have that additional pushing power. Next is 10 cost Kuzan. This is a very common tech from OP06 all the way up till now. It was one of the best ways for you to deal with Bonnie, be able to deal with their 9 cost Zoro, for example, their 8 cost kids. How you would do that is to set up your Egghead Luffy on board first, drop the 10 cost Kuzan, KO a 5 cost, and then use the Egghead Luffy to swing and then KO 8 or 9 cost after that. So very powerful card. I do feel it's a bit too slow for the current meta, but I was testing it at this stage in OP09. The last tech that I'm running in my personal list is the 6 cost Kingdom Come or Raigo. It's a main event that allows you to KO one of your opponent's characters regardless of cost, the cost of which is to send your life cards to trash until you only have 1 life card left. So this is actually useful in a couple of ways. For one, it does let you quote unquote get down to your 0 life threshold a little bit faster if you need to, although you are only able to use one other baby plus your leader effect with the remaining 4 Dawn. If you have, for example, like a 5 cost Luffy and you're stuck at 2 life, you can use Kingdom Come to send you to 1, use that 5 cost Luffy effect, and then use the remaining 4 Dawn to transform and leave you at 7k base plus 1 life. Alternatively, of course, the main use for this card is going to be to clear 10 cost Blackbeard, so that you will be able to buy a little bit more time in that matchup. And other than that, it also serves a different purpose in being very good against Shanks as well as Bonnie, because you will be able to use it to get rid of any 9 cost Zoros, 10 cost Shanks, 10 cost Roger, and cards like that. Not only that, it being 6 cost means you do have that 4 additional Dawn that you can use to use your leader effect and to also play 1 baby from hand. And if you were able to set up the turn before, you can even play a baby the turn before, so you can go to 9k base still. So very, very powerful card, and does play a very big part in a lot of my victories in OP09. Now, these are the texts that I personally used in OP09. Let's go over Cross AI's list and talk about the few different texts that he used. So Cross's list isn't one that is super unique or special or anything like that either. It does have a few tech cards that you may have seen before as well. Firstly, the 3 cost Emperor Ivankov, blocker, as well as on play trash your top life, and you can place a 5 cost character to the top of your life. So this is one good way to set up your life to transform earlier. You can use this in many different matchups. It is basically another Hiyori, but it also comes with a 3 cost 4k body, and it also is a blocker, so you can use that to set up your life a little bit easier. It gives you a body as well, and it will be usable as an attacker if you need it with only 1 Dawn requirement. So a decent tech card as well. Next card is 5 cost Sabo from the starter deck. This one is on play, trash your own top life, and then after that you can KO a 5 cost character. This is very useful in a few different matchups to clear very key 5 cost units. Bonnie comes to mind. Shanks as well lets you clear things like Yasop. It lets you clear blocker Silver's Rayleigh, which you can't clear with AK Luffy. You're also able to clear things like Cavendish in the Bonnie matchup. So it does have a few very key targets. It also does help you get down to 0 life a bit earlier. I personally don't love the card as much because I feel that you can probably get by with just AK Luffy, but it is an option, and it's also an additional target for your transformation off of your Sabo 2 cost. So you can use this to go for lethal as well by getting rid of a blocker using your 2 cost Sabo if you don't have any cost reduction available. Speaking of cost reduction, his next tech card is 4 cost Shirahoshi. This card is a pretty recent discovery. It did come up, I think, in Japan at first and maybe in the Europe as well, based on some things that my friend Real Zero has told me. This card is pretty good as well. It also kind of helps with that removal focus game plan, just like 4 cost Kuzan. 4 cost 0 power, 1k counter as well. Blocker, and on play, you give one of your opponent's characters minus 4 cost for the turn. So this does hit that very nice sweet 8 cost sweet spot where you are able to clear very important cards, just like the 4 cost Kuzan. So this hits very important meta cards like 8 cost Kid, as well as 8 cost Dragon and 8 cost Rayleigh. Once again, these cards are really important to clear because they will take at least 1 hand card from you every turn. It also helps you against Doflamingo in particular because you are able to clear that 6 cost Jozu. When you're staying at 7k base, it will be able to take a card from you every turn without any Dawn requirements, which is also going to be slowly chipping away your hand size, so that does make it useful as well. Now, those are the techs that Cross AI chose in his list to win the Nationals. So you do see also the 4 cost Kuzan and the 2 of the Raigo. Let's talk about some other techs that have been used before but are not present in the current either my list or Cross's list for OP09. First, 4 cost Borsalino. It is a 4 cost blocker with a 5k body, and it gains plus 1k on your opponent's turn. It's also not able to be KO'd by effects, which is really powerful. That does make it a pretty sticky blocker. I think this card has fallen out of favor after the rise of Doflamingo being able to kind of just bounce it after it's been played by the 4 cost blocker, 4 cost bouncing law. But it has been a pretty decent tech. I think at the moment it's probably more popular to play the Shirahoshi just for that additional control instead. Some other techs that have been used before, I have seen, of course, Ice Age. Ice Age is 1 cost event. I'm sure you're familiar. Main, give one of your opponent's characters minus 5 cost. This card was used very frequently in order to deal with 9-cost Zoro in the past. I think at the moment it probably isn't as useful. And cards like 4-cost Kuzan and probably the 4-cost Shirahoshi are probably more worth it to use instead, because there aren't that many 9-cost key targets to deal with right now. Next is 1-cost Tempest Kick. This was used in one of the Japanese BY Luffy's list in conjunction with the 9-cost 9k power Kaido. Now, this card is pretty powerful because it does let you get rid of 10-cost Blackbeard without using Kingdom Come. It also lets you develop that 9k body. One thing I didn't like about this combo in my own personal testing is that you did need to have both of these pieces in order to get rid of the Blackbeard, and other than that, it also meant that you couldn't use your leader effect that turn. So I personally still prefer Raigo, but Japanese players did use this combo to good effectiveness in order to top in one of the Japanese championships in OP09. 9-cost Kaido, of course, is activate main once per turn. You may discard 1 card from your hand, and then if you played this character this turn, you can trash one of your opponent's 7-cost characters, and then they have to discard a card. So this was doubly effective against Blackbeard, because you not only got rid of their 10 costs, but you also forced them to discard 1. Next on the cost reduction train, we also have 8-cost Isho. This was used in a couple of different decks. It wasn't exactly the best tech. It was particularly used against the mirror. It was very helpful to get rid of your opponent's hand cards in the mirror especially, and it also helped being an 8-cost 9k body. The one Dawn allowing you to get rid of 7-cost characters was sometimes relevant. I think it's not super relevant in the current meta though. But it is a 9k body and it does have that very nice hand destruction effect, so that is pretty good. And with that, we also have 2-cost one-legged toy soldier, similar to Tempest Kick. This was a tech in order to combo with 9-cost Kaido to get rid of those 10-cost Blackbeards. It is a 2k counter, which does make it better in hand than Tempest Kick. However, the issue is that you do have to play it the turn before the 10-cost Blackbeard, and then after that you can use the 9-cost Kaido. And similarly, you will need it as a combo piece rather than as a standalone like Kingdom Come. Next is 3-cost blocker Nami from the black starter deck. The 3D 2i starter deck. Blocker, and on play, if you have 6 or less cards in your hand and a character with a cost of 8 or more, you can draw 1 card. So this tech was used a lot in OP08, I believe, against many different decks. It came as a blocker that came off of your Moria. You were able to use it to refill your hand because you were able to draw 1 because the Moria is on your board. One thing that I personally didn't like about this card was the fact that you needed to have 6 or less cards in hand. So personally, I always prefer to just drop either Kuzan, Bosanino, or now the new Shirahoshi instead of this card. But I definitely do see the text in which you would want to use this by having this plus Sabo, plus that 7k base, plus 2 blockers, plus 1 life. It does make you very, very tanky. Next is the 5-cost Nightmare Luffy from OP07. 5-cost 6k power, and when attacking, you may send one of your opponent's cost 2 or lower characters to the trash. Then you may return any number of characters with a cost of 4 or higher from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and for every 3 cards that you return, you get plus 1k power on this character. So this card was, I think, primarily used in the mirror to kind of finish games off. It will probably be used in conjunction with 4-cost Kuzan or maybe 4-cost Shirahoshi as a way to kind of answer blocker Sabos. I think other than that, it could also be used in 09 to answer Jesus Burgess. However, you will face an issue in trying to answer that because most of the cost reduction available is on play. So unless you're running things like 10-cost Kuzan, 8-cost Isho, or Ice Age, or Tempest Kick, or even the one-legged toy soldier, it won't really be able to answer Blackbeard very well. But otherwise, I believe this was used mainly as a tech in the mirror matchup in order to kind of deal with that. The last card I can think of that people have used in Black Yellow Luffy is 200 million volt Amaru. Activate main, you may give one of your characters or leaders plus 3000 power for the turn, and then if you have 1 life or less, you may rest a 4-cost or lower character. So I believe this was used sometime in 07 or 08. I think particularly when Rebecca was a very popular blocker, probably in like Sakazuki decks and things like that as well. So it was a very rare tech, but it was a tech that people used. It just helped you to deal with these kind of blockers and go for lethal. I think this was probably before 8K Luffy was a thing, So that may have been the primary use case, but this is something that I remember seeing in my memory, but I don't exactly remember the source. So trust me bro on this. I think it has been used before. 2-cost blocker Viola. This is a EBO1 card, 2 cost, 0 power. On play, you may choose one of the following. You may flip all of your life face down, or you may take a look at your opponent's life and then rearrange it in your desired order. It's also a blocker. So this was pretty good for a few different cases. Firstly, early game you will just drop it as a cheap blocker, and you will also get information on your opponent's life cards, so it will help you with calculating lethal. And it was of course very good for helping you check triggers, so you'll be able to dodge things like Shigan, Raite, Onami, and things like that as well. Next is in more emergency cases, when for example things like 9-cost mom, or you would have to heal but you maybe didn't have the relevant babies in hand to transform, you will be able to bring this back off of Moria in order to flip your life face down, so you would essentially be able to draw those cards back to hand and then store a little bit more. So that is some of the use cases for this card. It wasn't a super popular tech, but again, this video is going to cover every single tech, so it is one of them available. Lastly, I think OPO10 has a few decent tech cards as well that you can run. First is the 3-cost Bonnie blocker. This is a 3-cost blocker, 4k power. On play, you may take the top card of your life to your hand, and then you may place a 5-cost Supernova card to the top of your life. Notably, this only works on your 5-cost Luffy from the starter deck, so not even the 8k Luffy as well. It only works with the starter deck Luffy, but it is different from Ivankov in that you don't have to trash the card, you actually get the card back to your hand. So that is the one trade-off. Not sure if that makes it better than Ivankov due to the lack of flexibility, but it is an option. Similarly, in that line is the 7-cost SEC Law. This card is able to heal a Supernova card from your hand to the top of your life. So similarly, this only works with the 5-cost Luffy. The good thing is that this card does heal the life card face down, so you will be able to take it back to your hand, assuming they hit you the following turn. And it's also a 7/9 body, and you also do get the 1 Dawn rested onto your leader. So this can be helpful in some very niche situations. For example, you are in your 8 Dawn turn, you have 0 life, you have ST Luffy in hand, you have a baby Luffy on board. You can use this combo to set yourself to 7k base with 1 baby Luffy, as well as the Luffy from the top of your life. Or if you're on 10 Dawn even, you are able to play the SEC Law, attach 1 Dawn to your leader, and then you would have 2 Dawn left over. You can play baby Luffy from hand, play down that Luffy from your life, and then heal back to 2 life. So you'll be at 7k base 2 life with both a 9k body and an 8k body on board, which is pretty strong as well. So these are just some examples of how this card could be used. Not sure if it will be used this way, but it is an example, it is an option that people can run. The one last tech card that is a promo card actually, so it was used in Asia once it became available, which I believe is not available in the West yet and is only now very recently available in Japan, which is the 5-cost 5k power Sabo promotion. It is activate main once per turn. You may take the top or bottom card of your life to your hand, and then this character gains plus 1k for the turn. It is not the best card, but it is a 5-cost Sabo, so you can use it off of your leader effect. And other than that, it is an activate main way to reduce your life cards, so you are able to awaken even against Blackbeard. So that is the one probably good use case for this. It is a searchable 2k counter. It is activate main, so you can use it against Blackbeard, and other than that, it is a Sabo, so you can use it to just transform off of a baby Sabo if you don't have any particularly better targets available as well. So that is the last tech. I believe that is every single Black Yellow Luffy tech. If you do have any other interesting, powerful Black Yellow Luffy techs that you have thought about before, make sure to drop me a comment and let me know. I did my own research for this, from playing Black Yellow Luffy, from looking at top BY Luffy players as well, and I also spoke to Real Zero about the potential tech cards. He did mention a few tech cards that I've never heard of before, but within his own experience he did manage to see. This includes things like 7-cost Vanilla in order to deal with the mirror. Secondly, 4 cost Hina from the Smoker starter deck so that you can use your leader effect and Moria on 9 Dawn. Next is 2 cost 2k Sanji in order to take your own life. So those are some of the texts that he mentioned, but I've personally never seen before. And if you are interested, of course, make sure to follow him on Twitter and maybe you can DM him or ask him about these specific texts. That being said, that is all I have for today, friendos and randos. Thank you so much for watching this video if you stayed until now. If you liked it, make sure to drop a like on the video, comment if you're interested in any other BY Luffy texts, and do subscribe to my channel in order to get more BY Luffy One Piece card game content. That being said, thank you friendos and randos for watching up till now, and I will see you guys again next time. Peace out.